let me talk about my next movie, which I'm a big fan of, which is, of course, Wall Street, right? A movie that really defined me as a human being. We've got Michael Douglas, we got Charlie Sheen, we got Daryl Hannah. This is a great movie. It was won Best Picture in 1987, I believe, or 86. It also was Best Screenplay. It's actually really good writing in this movie. It's one of the best written movies I've ever seen. I know almost every single line of Wall Street, and I worked in Wall Street. So I worked there in the banks and as a broker, and I lived in Manhattan. I know this lifestyle, and I have to say, it's 99.9% accurate. Those scenes where Bud Fox is sitting there with the black phones over each shoulder, I mean, I used to do that. All the banter that goes on with those brokerage ships, the thing you use, all the lines, it's all so accurate. And the truth is whether you know it's accurate or not, you can feel the authenticity of Wall Street. And I love this movie, and it changed the course of my life. It brought me to Wall Street to become a banker. And what always made me funny is when I've seen some interviews, because I've watched the DVD version, I've watched everything about this movie, because I've seen this movie probably 1,000 times. When they interview Charlie Sheen and Michael Douglas, people say that people come up to him and say, I watched Wall Street, and that's the reason I became a banker. And Michael Douglas is like, no, didn't you see the movie? The movie's supposed to show you that we're bad and evil, doing horrible things that ruin our lives and ruin other people's lives. The movie was about not being a Wall Street banker. And everyone's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I loved you guys in the movie. So it's interesting because this movie, there's a great line in this movie where Gordon Gekko says, greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed works. Greed is right. Greed has marked the upward surge of civilization. And he goes through this whole thing, right? Of course, I know all the lines. And things like that in there that are preposterous, but at the same time, they can be taken in multiple ways. So I'll always be thankful of this movie because it took me down this route of Wall Street, which allowed me to grow. But I guess part of me will also always wonder about this movie because it was that same feeling that took me too far down the banking route to where I had to realize that it's not all about bucks and the rest is conversation. Another line from this movie. Because in this movie, Gordon Gekko will do anything to make money, including selling out Charlie and his dad, which is what happens in the movie. And at the end, that's what Charlie says to Gordon. He says, how much is enough, Gordon? How many boats can you water ski behind? How much is enough? And Gordon says, it's not about enough. He said, somebody wins, somebody loses. It's all about winning. And it's interesting to see this whole thing. And Charlie makes the choice to back his father and sells out Gordon and gets into a fight. And so they're just really important life lessons about mentorship and father figures and values and money. And so really interesting, but a movie that had a big effect on me. Again, really well shot, really well acted, and really well written. And I think a great written movie really pops when it comes to the screen because it's so genuine. And that's why it takes people years to write a screenplay, which when you look at it is so much smaller than a book. But it has to have every single beat, and the language really has to be there. So I'll always be thankful for Wall Street. If you ever come for graduation here in London in one of our academy things, I'm happy to quote these things to you. Me and my buddies at Wall Street would just constantly quote lines back at each other from Wall Street. I was actually, thinking about Gordon Gekko's speech to Teldar Paper the other day when he goes in and has this thing. So there are great lines in there, some great truisms, and I'll always love Wall Street. So that's one of my favorites. And again, if you're coming late here, type in what's your favorite movie and why. It looks like Don Toloso said Whiplash, which is a great movie. I watched it many times. The moment the boy changes his mindset and pushes his limits is one of my favorite scenes of all time. Whiplash is interesting. I've only seen it once, but just to roughly summarize, it's about a kid trying to be the best drummer ever, and he finds a mentor or a drum teacher that's a bit like the Dan Pena of drumming. Yeah, he's ruthless and will not accept anything less than perfection, and doesn't want your excuses. He doesn't want to be your friend. He just wants to show you can be better. And it's a brutal movie to watch, and in the end, I don't think that they ever have a personal relationship, but it gets this kid to be the best until like his hands are bleeding. And there's something beautiful about it, and there's something beautiful in the striving of a human to be the very best, maybe just for the sake of it. Maybe that's what we need to do as humans, to just try to master something, to evolve. And I always remember Ido Portal said, Brian, when you find the right person to teach you, learn whatever they have to teach you. And the point is that sometimes you just want to be trying to become the best and learning from great mentors. And so when Dan Pena gets a little crazy, I think of the movie Whiplash, and I think, well, even if he is crazy, he's trying to get me to be the best version of myself, and I think there's something pure about trying to do that.